back to Scrap with Penny, where paper meets story. Way back in 2017, I kicked off this whole YouTube channel of mine with one single video, a room tour of my custom built cabinets and the space I lovingly call Story Central. At the time, I had just moved in and everything was freshly organized, perfectly placed, pristine, room to spare. So fast forward 8 years and a whole lot of stories, layouts, and messes later, and this room has evolved right along with me. So one of my lovely subscribers asked if I do a reprise of that original video, and honestly, I love the idea after I thought about it and decided it's worth, revisiting. So today, I'm inviting you back into the space where creativity happens and I tell all of my stories. It is certainly not showroom tidy anymore, but it's lived in, well loved, and working real hard behind the scenes of every layout that you see here on the channel. So where I'm standing right now, I've got my back to our staircase, and we built this home in 2016, and the whole downstairs is open concept, and upstairs is also largely open concept. And so my scrap space is right off of the heart and hub of our home. And I love it that way because I'm connected to everyone that comes in. I've got great natural light at my back, and I had Steve's blessing to custom design these cabinets. And so while we were building this house, I worked hard on assessing my stash and trying to figure out what kind of space would work for everything. And so what we have now is an L-shaped workspace right to the left as you enter the room, and then my storage is all along the wall. And then as you look to the right, I've got a view that greets our guests as they enter the house. So it's more decor related than utilitarian, but believe me, I use every bit of that little aqua colored table to store different supplies, and I love it. I love this space, and I don't ever want to leave. If we ever leave, I think these cabinets are going to come with me. I want to point out there's a little set of Frenchie legs right there. Sophie is never far from Mama, and she goes with me everywhere I go. And so whenever I'm scrapbooking, she's in her dog bed, which you'll see a little bit later. So let's go on in and we'll start looking at the different elements in the room. So before I take the camera off the tripod, I thought I would open all of the upper storage space and kind of let you see at a glance in a big picture way what it looks like, and I'll just kind of talk you through it. So right up here, I've got those project cases that I mentioned, and it's dog paper, it's birthday, it's month in review, it's school, and it's travel. And there's 2 bins of travel. One is cruise related and one is just regular travel. I have those in project cases because when I tend to scrapbook those kinds of stories, I'm working on a project kind of in mass, and I don't really need access to those papers unless I'm working on that kind of project. So right below that, on this shelf here, right here in these cases, I've got some Christmas die cuts and some vacation die cuts. And then here I've got 2 bins of twine and thread. And then in this little red case right there, I have some photos that are more portrait. And there's a drawer for each of my sons. And then there's a drawer for heritage. And then there's a drawer for our family. So for instance, if we had a family portrait made in 1999, the 8x10 is going to be in those little red drawers. So following up with photos, right in here are the storage binders that Stacy Julian suggests for printed photos. I'm gonna be honest and say it's my goal to get those out of here. It's my goal to go through all of those printed photos from 2010 to 2016 and decide what I still want to scrap and what I'm okay letting go. It's just too much space, in my opinion, for the possibility. And if I could get rid of those, then I could store more projects there, which I'm really heavy into projects. You know, I've got a bin over by the window that's projects. To the left, on the far side of the photos, right in here, are some plastic cases that hold themed embellishments. And I've got my eye on going through those and also purging them. And really that's kind of where I am. You can see I am out of room everywhere. And I brought card making into my life 5 years ago, and that has its own, you know, set of real estate requirements. So it's important for me to always stay as lean as possible. Now, right here, I've got a Brothers Scan and Cut, which I do not have any success with, and it's also on the chopping block. And here's my beloved Silhouette Cameo 4, which I use all the time. Right here is a bin of Silhouette accessories. I've got some Paper Wizard titles. I've got a bin of stencils, and then I've got page kits that are Disney related. So is that how you are in your space too? You're constantly trying to weed through what you have and what you need to keep? It sure seems to be a predicament. Okay, so moving up to this tall set of cabinets. Up here, these are all 6x8 chipboard binders, and it's some memorabilia from my high school and college days. And that box way up there on the top, that's a box of love letters from Steve to me. I finished college in 3 years and he finished in 4. And so he wrote to me the last year that he was in school and I wasn't. Coming to this row here, this is all of my cardstock, and I have it in Roy G. Biv, and I love it. I know right where something is, and it's easy for me to grab it, and you can see now why I would want to be sure to organize my cardstock scraps, because I have a lot of colors. On the row below that, I've got my collection papers that are not themed, and they're sorted by manufacturer, and they're in alphabetical order by manufacturer, and then within each manufacturer they're sorted alphabetically. So like Good Day Sunshine by Simple Stories would be ahead of So Happy Together. There are a couple of project cases that are in front of them, and I'll go over those when I talk about the cabinet in general. Up here are printed out photos, and I'm also wanting to get rid of these. So right here is the little negative scanner, and my total goal is to digitize all of my negatives for my kids, and so that I can dispose of the prints before I give them a mess to deal with. A lot of those have already been scrapped in some form or fashion, and it's just a big project. And man, I like making the pages. I love working on layouts, and when I when I have to tackle an organization project, you know, bleh. So that's that top bin, that top shelf. And then this top shelf right here, that's memorabilia from Disney. There's a case for each park. And then behind I'm sorry, I'm not very good at pointing. This is my little trimmer I use to gut pages. And behind that are pictures from my mom. And so I'm also working on getting those digitized. So you can see I've got a lot of space devoted to printed out photos that I need to get working on that. Okay, so going back, let's see if I can do this. From here to here represents 15 feet of fold down counter storage. I designed the cupboards so that the drawer lids, if you will, or the doors, I'm sorry, the doors would fold down and create a work surface and be more utilitarian. So I love it. It's great. They say they can hold a lot of weight, but I don't ever really test them. But it's a great place for me to lay out. If I'm working on a multi layout project, I can let it stack up. So I love that. And the thing I'm going to say about my room in general is that it has to be capable of being show ready, if you will, to use a Disney term, because it is just off the front door. And if we have, sometimes my husband will have holiday parties for his staff, and you know, in general, you just wouldn't want all this stuff screaming out at people when they come in. I have a real funny story. When one of my girlfriends came here right after we moved in, and before I had these cabinets built, she came into my room, and she was about 80 at the time. She had the sweetest southern drawl, and she says, "What is all this stuff?" And so that is the impetus behind my design, is kind of to corral it and make sure that it can be, you know, out of sight, out of mind. That's kind of a deal that I made with my husband. So he ponied up the money for the cabinets, and I ponied up the way to corral it and make it look good. So right here, on this side is Disney scrapbooking supplies. It's, well, there's alpha stickers and then Disney 6x6. And then here are chipboard stickers and alpha stickers. And then right here is a little manual die cut machine for better press for card making. And then here and here are my stamp sets and my dies. And those are all in alpha order. Now on this side right here, these are Lawn Fawn, and then these are sets by Carrie Bradford, Allie Edwards, Felicity Jane, Hero Arts, you know, Technique Tuesday, any stamp set that's not Lawn Fawn, because Lawn Fawn is mostly, well, it's all card making. And the ones right here in the middle, these can be for scrapbooking. And I did recently go through and purge some of them down. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of the middle section. And then it's pretty easy to tell that this bottom section right here are ink pads and 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and then my Copic markers and my blending brushes. So you'll see all of that up close in a little bit. And then above that, I've got those multi-purpose bins that I love, and that is my themed paper for holiday. So it starts at winter, you know, / New Year's, and goes to Valentine's, Easter, July 4th, fall, Halloween, Christmas, and that's what's in all of these bins that are right here. Then right here are all of my Disney papers, and yeah, it's a lot, not gonna lie, but you know, I'll just tell you, I think I've gone to Walt Disney World over 70 times. I actually have a trip log, and I can get you an accurate number, but that's that. And then the final case, these cases up here are the embellishments by season, and they go with the paper that's on the lowest shelf. So I can see July 4th, Halloween, Valentine's, Christmas, and fall. And it's the same concept as these papers over here. When I'm working on Christmas, I'm all in. And when I'm not working on Christmas, I don't need it having, you know, prime real estate. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of the whole big wall system. So while I still have the camera on the tripod, I thought I would get a view of the room from this angle. This is me standing with the tripod by the tallest cabinet that is closest to the TV wall. So I'm just, you know, angling down a little bit, and you can see my trimmer area right under the windows. I love that. That is an Alex drawer unit from IKEA that I added to basically fully hold card supplies. It's all card supplies. And then you can see my built-ins on the wall. I've got sketches and books in the upper cabinets. And then there's a little drawer unit behind my chair that you can't really see. But did Sophie just walk in frame? Let me tilt it down and get little Sophie. Hey, Sophie girl. You see Mama? She's moving. We call her a hippopotamus. She is a lot like a hippopotamus. So on the end of my antique work table, I have my Impress die cut machine, and that's what I use to cut all of my journal strips. So I use that all the time. I want it right within arm's reach, and I love it there. My table itself, I just want to tell you the story on that. It is an 1800s bread and butter table, and the top comes off of the base, and it's made to be portable in a covered wagon. And so it's just, I love it. I just love the story behind it. And one thing I've changed since 2017 is that I have a glass surface on my built-in desktop over there. And then in November, I went to a glass surface on my work table desktop. And the thing about the glass is that it cleans up so easily, and my glass board on my desk is actually magnetic. You probably cannot watch a video of me making a layout that doesn't have me using my magnets at some point to hold something and act as an extra set of hands. So this is where it all happens. This is my work center, and it's where I am most of the time. If I'm home and not busy, I'm going to be right in that chair working on either editing a video or organizing photos, or planning a layout, or actually making a layout. And you can see that I've got a couple of small lights, and you can see my arm that I use for my camera. I tried to make this room tour really appear as how I live in it. Now, usually both of the work surfaces are covered up, but I didn't want to take away the evidence of how I function in the space, because I think, it's helpful for you all to see it. And I am a pretty tidy person, so it's not unusual for me to clean up completely after a project. But obviously, today I made sure that I vacuumed the floor and cleaned off the glass and, dusted down the cabinet. So anyway, this is just a little peek behind this side of the room. This is the heart of my space where all of the stories come together. My desk right in front of us is where I do all of my creating, and I'm surrounded by the tools that I reach for again and again, and all the ones that I just can't part with. I do like to keep my workspace functional, but I also want it to feel inspiring. So the tulips are my favorite flower, and those are there unless it's fall or Christmas time, and so they'll change with the seasons. But the wall of crosses, that's been there from the beginning, and it's a quiet reminder to me of faith, comfort, and purpose, something that I love having in front of me while I scrapbook all the big and little moments. From this spot, I can glance over at my layout bins, the tools I use every week, or I can look out the window for a little sunlight. I see the birds. Steve's got a bird feeder right behind me where I'm standing right now, and I get all kinds of bird activity, and it's just, I just love this spot. So then over, to the left are my navy cabinets that hold all of the years of, paper hoarding and creative joy. So this is a space that works hard, but it holds so many soft things too. Up under the TV, you can see what I affectionately call the chicken chair. And that's because when I bought it for my 30th birthday, a long time ago, it was upholstered in a rusty red that had little roosters on it with a chicken wire embossed pattern. And so there were many times that I would nestle up there with one of the boys to take a nap. And of course, Truman would come in and hop up there when I had him. And little Queen Sophie, she can't hop up there, but she'll come and stare at me like, put me on my throne. And so that's, if she's not in her bed, you know, behind me, she's up there on the chair. So my little one, Coco, she most often will put herself to bed in her crate. And she's just different. She's got a real good bond with her daddy. And I think most of the time, she just tolerates me. The little table under the TV, it holds all of my sticker sheets, and I've got some projects under there. I've got Christmas on the right, on the bottom. That's my December daily kit. And then on the left, on the bottom, I've got yearbooks that I want to scan and then donate. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts over there. And then, oh, on the wall on the right, between the crosses and the cased opening, I've got an antique camera collection, and that's where it can fit on the wall. So I love having an open concept room, but you know, honestly, it limits me on my wall space and hanging things up. Oh, I'll tell you one funny story about the sign above the TV. So my mom will sit in here with me, and she'll ask me every time she sits in here with me, do you read that sign above the TV very much? And I'll say, yes, I read it all the time. And she'll say, well, where did you get that sign? And I'll say, well, Mom, I had it custom made. I picked the finish, I picked the words, I picked the script, I picked the color. And she's just marvels that I was able to do that. So I love the sign and love how it evokes a sense of calm over me and how it reminds me of my purpose. The rest of this is going to be shot freehand, and I apologize if it's shaky, but I wanted to give you a close-up of this area. And honestly, the space that I use here the most is right here. It's these sticker sheets, and these are those multi-purpose bins that they come in like 4 sizes, and they hold so much. So I'm going to zoom in on them. And you can see die cut sheets, journal stickers, word phrase stickers, collection stickers, and then theme stickers. And those are all sorted alphabetically. The little boxes on the right are, I think it's so boxes from the Container Store. And it holds a few things that I just can't let myself part with. Some markers, some watercolor pencils, non-Copic markers, I should say, and then some wood stamps and some ephemera in that bottom. I think it's some October afternoon 6x8 activity. And there's the camera wall. The little, right here in the center is a doodle bug that I change out seasonally. And the little Lego camera, the Polaroid, that was a gift from my son for my birthday last year. I'm just going to give you a close-up shot of the bins. They've got little years on them. And here's this cupboard. I wanted to zone in on this. This is how I store my stencils. And I use a cookie stencil binder off Amazon, and they're all out of the plastic, and I like being able to access them just kind of like that. There's that upper bin. It's really just organized chaos. And then here's my neutrals and my paper collections that start with photo play and go to the end of the alphabet. And this is stuff that I need to make room for down here. And it's a constant battle on what to use, what to keep, what to purge. For the record, I have slowed my spending down a lot, but my burn rate isn't fast enough. So here's Alpha stickers, Disney embellishments, Paper Wizard titles for Disney, and then 12 by 12 alpha sheets, and then chipboard sticker sets. There's that top cabinet. And then here's my blue and green cardstock. And I left this in here on purpose. First of all, this is good storage space. And then this is my next Simple Stories online class that I'm taking. And I don't want to dive into this until after our trip abroad in the fall. So it's just corralled in a little bin. I may move it upstairs. And then here is pattern paper. This pattern paper is Girls Papery to Pebbles. And then that's my little negative scanner. Here are my stamp sets that have sentiments, birthdays, Disney, and then fall, and then they're just alphabetical by manufacturer. There's that top bin with the trimmer I use to gut the paper, and then my Disney memorabilia. And then here is my red, pink, yellow, and orange cardstock. And then I have another project bin. This is where I stash completed layouts to corral them until I can do a layout share. And then this is my pattern paper that goes authentique to fancy pants. And then, you know, what's gonna be on the top are just items in this alphabetic range that I can't fit in. I think on the top right and left, those are some Cocoa Vanilla collections that I've got the embellishments stored with. So do you store a Swiffer in your scrap space? I use that regularly to pull dust off the cabinets because the cabinets are dark, and I just, you know, I don't like little dust collecting on it. Or if I want to torment Sophie, I'll run it along and she chases it. So I have my my dies here. I've got embossing folders back there. And then this is my lawn fawn. So no judgment, please. No judgment. So we're back to the shorter cabinet closest to the window. And you can see at the top, those are my themed bins, embellishments. And then I've got 6x6 paper pads to the right that are themed. So all of the theming is in here for all of the holidays. And then the middle row is Disney. And the bin second from the right is solid papers like by Bella Boulevard or Doodlebug, and those are sorted by color palette. And then below I've got the holidays. Now you'll see some loose items nesting in front of the bins, and that's just, I tuck stuff there. And so the next time I get into that July 4th bin, I'll work that little pack of die cuts from convention shopping into the bin. I just try and corral it in the region, and then I refine it as I'm working. And you can see it looks like it's time for some Christmas paper purging. Here's a little candid of my Sophie girl. She has a sensitive stomach, and so a lot of times this is our day. She wants to be in here with me, but she wants to guard her kibble. So this is a very real life scenario playing out. This little cupboard is a lot of fun. I've got my 12 by 12 Misty right here. I've got a 12 by 12 Omni grid ruler. I've got all of my inks that are full size. Lawn Fawn are the only ink pads that I have that are full size. And then I've got blending brushes. I've got wipes for cleaning. I've got colored cardstock and solid cardstock and white cardstock base for card making. And then I've got my Copic markers and spray bottle of alcohol and water for various uses. So where I am now is the far right cabinet set of drawers, and these used to live on the other side of the room. I moved them because I need to get into them, and you can see where the dog bed would be a problem. So these are just sorted by color, and then over here we've got some themes, and then down here we go into alpha by manufacturer, and that finishes up down on the bottom. This is the second column of cabinets. This is basic embellishments that are kind of, you know, Maya Road shears or chipboard or hat pins. And I've got little labels on them. Then I have a drawer of thickers. I think regularly about getting rid of these because well, these are foam stickers by Simple Stories, but all of these colored thickers I almost just never use because I'm either going to use a pre-made title or I'm going to cut it on the Cameo. Then I've got a drawer of rub-ons. And then I have a drawer of card kits, card events that I haven't finished. And yes, I know I should finish this and free up this drawer. Probably the only drawers that haven't changed in the room are my punch drawers. Everything else has really kind of moved around. So these are my Martha Stewart punch around the page sets. And these are various shape sets, squares, postage stamps, tags. Then here I've got embossing tools and embossing powder, and this is for card making. And then I actually have a mixed media drawer. Now, don't look for me to ever use this on a layout, but it's for card making. And then here are my cardstock sticker binders, which there's a whole process video on this. So now we're at the middle row of the tall cupboards. And this is more Martha Stewart punches and some EK Success border punches. Then I have shape punches here, stars, hexagons, leaves, butterfly. Then moving on down, I've got more card making supplies. This is my Better Press and foiling system. And this is a really different system from 2017. I've gone to these little plastic bins and I dumped out a bunch of containers and sorted, like, you know, there's all potty people and they could be chipboard or wood veneer or sheer. And I did this project last year and I will say it has helped me use the stuff. And then more washi than I'll ever use in my life. But it's so addicting. This is the first row of tall cabinets. And if you remember looking at the wall of cabinets, I've got 3 cupboards that bump out. And so I've got 3 columns of punches, and I love this system. It's so effective and I can just reach for any of my punches right away. And then here is the other shapes: circles, ovals, hearts, doilies. This is another drawer of bins for miscellaneous embellishments. And you can see it's hearts, stars, triangles, squares, circles. And these are various themes: flowers, outdoors, I don't know what all. And you can see I've got some adhesive refills stored at the back. I don't let any real estate go unused here. I need it all. And then this is my drawer of buttons and my ATG refills. Now the buttons have always been stored like this in this room, but they were in a different drawer. Moving right along, I've got journal cards and labels. These are all labels in different colors, and this is a new set that I need to sort by color. Here are more journal cards. I do not buy these anymore, and I try and use them every chance I can. Here is a nod to my roots, my 1994 Start with Creative Memories. I have the circle cutting system. I have a punch board, a WeArt punch board down there, and then my little personal trimmer. And to be honest, if I'm scrapping, this personal trimmer is going to be out probably on my desk. And then lastly, this is a drawer of Bible journaling tools and some mixed media classes that are also unfinished. This is a drawer full of finished cards, and I have them sorted out by event. I like to make cards. I'm not really good at sending them out. Then this is a drawer full of card base supplies and envelopes. And this is the final drawer on this whole wall system. This is foam adhesive overflow. There's a Xyron sticker machine down there, and the original CM circle cutter. This is kind of like a miscellaneous drawer. And I don't need to get into it very often, and that's why it's perfect for being blocked by the dog bed. So just real quick, the 2 cases here on the top, these are projects. It's a fresh air class from Simple Stories I want to finish. It's just beachy that I want to use to work on some travel pics on cruises. And then I've got month in review supplies in here that I want to use to tackle 2020. So I keep it front and center so I can work it into my plan. Then in the first drawer of this Alex unit that I added maybe in 2021, I've got all of my ink cubes, and I'm what they call a completist. I don't have many brands. I have Gina K, Tailored Expressions, Pink Fresh, and Lawn Fawn, but I do have all of them within that those brands. So unless maybe they were released in the last few months. So these are the little trays from I can't remember if it's Stamp and Storage or Organize More, but I love them, and they'll just lift out, and then I can get to what's underneath. Then here's, this is the only drawer in this unit that's not card making. This is my sewing, and these are my threads, my piercing mat, and my Omni grid ruler, and then some back supplies back there. I'm a big believer in back stock, I guess. I guess I'm shopping like there's, you know, Armageddon, or I'm gonna run out. Of note here are the little acrylic stamping corners that I use a lot, and stamping blocks, my flour sack rag that I use for cleaning up messes, miscellaneous. I was gifted some Tim Holtz distress pads, and these are here along with some Concord and Ninth from events, and just some miscellaneous items. And then card classes, unfinished and started but not finished, I'll tell you that. And then shaker bits, and press and seal and wax paper. And then more, I'm getting a shadow, I'm sorry. More distressing, some mink foiling supplies, my mint tape, and my Barely Art refill. If there's anything in my room that I hate, it's the cords right here. And they put an outlet back behind where this plastic bin sits, but I need to run it, you know, up to the desk for my photo printer and my lamp. And I hate how those cords look. But I'm not handy with stuff like that, and my husband's not handy, and it just hasn't moved up the priority list to get resolved. So it's it's awful. But I've got this second Alex drawer. This was the first one that I had in my room. And it's white because I bought it at my other house where my cabinets were white. And then when I added this Alex drawer under the window, since it's certainly more visible, I went with the slate gray, which, you know, marries up with the navy a little better. All of the items in this have pretty much changed out since the first room tour. I got smart and I moved over close to me what I reach for a lot. So here's my enamel dots, and these little, you know, ice gems that I love and use. And then here are my brads. My brads are complex. So if it's steel backed with the prongs, it's mounted on this foam. And if it's adhesive, it's loose and it's a mess. And I hate that companies changed how they make these things. This is paper that's newish, and I've got it set aside to keep close to work with while it's still new. And then this is the result of National Scrapbook Day washi bundle from Simple Stories. I have a problem. This is flare, and I mean, some of it's rusting, so it might, I don't know. I never use it, I never reach for it, but you can't buy it anymore. So it's that conundrum of, do you keep it or purge it? These are my big and little solid color brads that used to be all we had. And these aren't going anywhere. I'm keeping them. And then down here I have miscellaneous tools, my undo, my little wire cutters to snip apart dies, my roller stamps, yeah, just miscellaneous tools. I decided I should make use of this space, and so we picked up a plastic Sterilite drawer bin. And this is more foam adhesive. I hate to pay shipping, so I'll shop to get free shipping, and then I'll hold on to it. So, you know, that's why you're seeing what you're seeing, is I'll stock up and then run down a supply and then stock up again. This might be a drawer of shame. At a Crop and Create event, I fell in love with Lael Concar's travel notebook idea, and I stocked up on the stuff to do it, and I can't get it on my dance card. So I have this stuff, I love it, but I just can't get around to making the little TN pages. So have you played with those? Have you dabbled with traveler's notebooks? Tell me your success. This top drawer is 6x8 album refills and flip flaps and different interactive album elements. Real quick, this is the top of the built-in unit. And these are page kits over here, things I want to play with. It's also my 2021 list of stories to tell that I'm working off of. That little cross-stitch Rapunzel, my daughter-in-law made it for me. Rapunzel is my favorite princess, so love Tangled. And then the two bins in front are dies and stamps that I've pulled as part of my British Isles vacation project. And then the angels are what the boys gave to me for birthdays and holidays and Mother's Day over the years, and so they're here. And then here are the two upper cabinets open, and the red binders on the left are Scrapbook Generation sketches, books, and then the bottom are some printed photos I have and my photo paper, my photo printer ink. And then on the right, up on the top, I've got 8 by 10, 8.5 by 11 photo paper. Then in the middle, I've got page protectors, books. And then on the bottom, I've got my my instruction books for the Crop and Create events. The 3 binders are Jen Shirka's card classes. And then right there in the sweet spot in the middle are the beautiful Scrapbook and Cards Today magazines that I get and hold on to. I love them. This is my built-in drawer to the right. Ideally, it would hold all of my tools, but then I just decided the ones I reach for all the time should really just live out on my desk. And that border punch is in there because it's new. I want to keep it in front of my face because I want to use it. This drawer holds the last of the Scrapbook Generation kits. I used to have 5 3-ring binders of these kits. And in 2024, I plowed through, finished a bunch of them, gifted some to some girlfriends, and this is what's left. And it is also on my list of things to work through and get out of the space so I can use the space for something else. These multi-purpose bins with the stickers live where the 3-ring binders used to live that held the kits. So it was a much better swap to put there things I reached for all the time. This bottom drawer that is actually more of a shelf holds my wide format printer, and I use this a lot, and I love that it can pull right out and fold up and be used. The little printer paper tray will come out right there. And a little secret, when I'm not using it to print, it might be a little storage shelf. Here's just a little close-up of the right side of my workspace. This is my little photo printer that I print all of my pictures out on, and also all of my computer journaling. And then right here, I've got 2 little cubbies of very often used items. My adhesive that's not ATG, my eraser, pens and pencils that I use all the time. And then up here are my little tools, my scissors, my T-square, my ruler. So I think I've covered everything. And what I'd love to hear is, what was your favorite area? And if you have any questions about anything you saw, drop them in the comments. And some of these things I've wondered if I should do like a little mini tips and trick video on. So if you saw anything that you'd like more help with, then just shout it out. And I know maybe this was too much, or maybe, I don't know. But all that to say, I appreciate you coming into my space with me, seeing where the stories unfold. There's a little shot of Sophie. So that's going to be a wrap on my tour, my creative space, which after 8 years in that first video, it's grown and changed just like I have. And some systems stuck, some things have shifted. Card making's entered the pictures, but I still got my fur baby with me. So Truman's not here, but Miss Sophie is. And I'm just gonna say, not a picture perfect studio by any stretch, but it's my working space that holds a whole lot of paper, a whole lot of stories, and a whole lot of heart. And I hope it inspired you to love your creative space a little bit more, however it looks today. And I'd really love to hear in the comments, what's your favorite part of your own craft room? I'd love to hear also what I shared that was your favorite. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me today.
so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. I'll be back soon with more layouts, videos, and a little stash busted magic. So please come back and crop with me. Until next time, happy scrapping, and remember, this is where paper meets story. Bye-bye.